Thanks for joining the Advancing Excellence podcast. In this episode, we dive into why succession planning is one of the most critical components for business continuity. It helps organizations handle inevitable changes while keeping things stable, efficient, and engaging for employees. Join me as we begin the podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Advancing Excellence podcast. I'm your host, Janice Kleins, Marketing Manager here at AOE. Today, we're diving into a topic that's all about looking ahead, succession planning. And joining me is someone who knows this topic inside and out, our very own Director of Client Strategy, Drew Burns. Welcome, Drew.
Thanks, Janice. I'm excited to be here. Succession planning is such an interesting topic because it looks different for every organization, and it's often overlooked too. Organizations are often in response mode, but it's important to have a map when charting a course for the future.
We are all making plans for our own career paths or for retirement, so it makes sense that a business should be planning for that transition. So earlier this year, you wrote a blog on this topic, succession planning, building a future-ready workforce. I just want to take some time today and discuss this blog with our audience because I think it's such an important topic and it's super relevant. So let's just start with the basics. Drew, why is succession planning so important for organizations?
Great question. So I mentioned having a map to plan for the future. Succession planning is like having a GPS for your workforce. It ensures that when changes happen, whether it's someone retiring or moving on or an unexpected vacancy, we like to use the example a team member wins the lottery and quits tomorrow. Your organization doesn't lose its way. It's about preparing for the future while keeping things running smoothly on the ground today.
I love that analogy. Now, one thing I found interesting from your blog was that succession planning isn't just for the executive suite. Can you talk more about this? Give some information for our audience?
Absolutely. That's a common misconception. While leadership roles are critical, every position in an organization plays a part in its success. Think about it. If a key technical expert or a customer-facing manager leaves, it can create just as much disruption as losing a senior leader. Succession planning should cover all roles, not just the corner office or the C-level.
That makes so much sense. And it ties into another point from your blog, aligning succession planning with business strategy. How do you help organizations do that?
Well, it starts with asking the right questions. For example, if a company is expanding, we want to look at the roles that will drive that growth. Or if they're trying to stabilize, we focus on roles that are most at risk from turnover. Once we know their priorities as a company, we'll assess the talent pool and identify gaps. It's all about being proactive rather than reactive. You can't predict the future, but you can think through potential scenarios so you're ready when things start to change. This is very similar to crisis planning. You can see a clear connection here. If an unexpected loss in your team is handled incorrectly, it could become a crisis.
Being proactive is definitely the name of the game for sure. Another thing that stood out to me was the idea of building a talent pipeline beyond leadership roles. How does that work in practice?
It's all about creating opportunities for growth at every level. We use tools like the 9-box grid to evaluate employees and identify high potential candidates. Then we create development plans to prepare them for future roles. It's not just about filling positions, it's about nurturing talent and keeping employees engaged so they understand their role in the larger picture.
Speaking of engagement, in your blog, you mentioned the 70-20-10 learning model. Can you break that down for our listeners?
Sure. I think we actually picked this up from another industry webinar that we were on. The 70-20 model is a great framework for professional development. It suggests that 70% of learning comes from hands-on experience, like stretch assignments or shadowing. Another 20% comes from coaching and mentoring. And the final 10% is through formal training, like workshops and certifications. It's a more balanced approach that combines real-world experience with structured learning. Most people don't really think of hands-on learning opportunities when they're making professional development plans. So we find this model helps make sure these opportunities get incorporated.
It's such a great model. It's a practical way to think about development for sure. Now let's talk about transparency. Why is it so important in succession planning?
Well, transparency builds trust. When employees know there's a plan in place and that they're part of it, it boosts morale and engagement. It's also important to communicate to team members about their development goals and how they align with the organization's vision. And of course, leadership buy-in is critical to make it all work too.
Absolutely. And what about risk? How do organizations address risk in their succession plans?
Risk analysis is key. Not all roles have the same impact. So we help organizations prioritize based on urgency and importance. For critical roles, we define the must-have skills and create tailored response plans. It's about being prepared for both expected and unexpected changes.
So before we wrap up, Drew, what's one piece of advice you'd give to organizations just starting their succession planning journey?
I'd say start small but think big. You don't have to tackle everything at once. Begin with a few key roles, align your plan with your business strategy, and build from there. And remember, succession planning isn't a one-time event, it's an ongoing process.
It's great advice, Drew. Thank you so much for sharing your insights today. This has been such a great conversation.
Thanks for having me, Janice. It's been a pleasure.
And thank you to our listeners for tuning in to the Advancing Excellence podcast. If you're ready to build a future ready workforce, reach out to us at aoeteam.com. Be sure to like this episode and subscribe to this podcast so that you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep striving for excellence.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Advancing Excellence podcast. If you have any comments or questions, please get in touch with us at info@aoeteam.com. Don't forget to follow AOE on LinkedIn at Advancing Organizational Excellence, and be sure to subscribe to this podcast so you never miss an episode.